Hi, I'm Sadia Davis. How are you? And I am the director for the Center of Creative Entrepreneurship. Listen, we are really excited today to bring to you a premiere broadcast of our partners, Carly, Marcel, and Adriana Leonard of Real Talks. Today, we are featuring their first talk with real women in entrepreneurship, specifically the tech industry. Hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having us. We're so excited.
I know. I'm like, this is a great opportunity. You know, one of the things that I wanted to just let everybody know is that the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship is born out of 2112, which is the largest creative incubator in the world that has co-working space. And Adriana Leonard and Carly Marcel created Beta in that space. The Center for Creative Entrepreneurship empowers creatives at all levels with the knowledge, skills, and relationships necessary for business success. And what we are so excited to do is amplify your success. So that's all I've got to say for myself here as we represent the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. Take it away, ladies. Have a great talk, and we look forward to this beautiful partnership.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sadia.
Thanks, Sadia. Hello, women in tech and women in tech supporters. Welcome to the premiere episode of hashtag Beta in Real Talks, where women talk to women about how to empower more women in tech. I'm Carly, aka Delta.
And I'm Adriana, aka Lenny, and we are the hosts and creators of Beta, which is the fictional web series about how two very different women, Lenny and Delta, come together and learn to empower each other to lead in the tech industry.
And to support the larger dialogues on women's empowerment in tech and highlight the importance of representation in both entertainment and technology, two industries, by the way, that are designing our future, we started a campaign called hashtag Beta In.
Our mission is to change the stories around who and what is worth investment in the tech industry because, as we all know, change starts with stories.
So as part of that campaign, we partnered with the amazing Center for Creative Entrepreneurship in Chicago to kick off this educational and fun talk show called Beta in Real Talks.
In every episode, we're going to bring you a group of awesome women and tech leaders who are going to share their perspectives, their challenges, their stories, and help guide you through their experiences in various aspects of the industry.
And this week, we real talk with Shila, Nieves, Burney, partner at Zane Venture Fund, and Umama, Kimbria, co-founder and CEO of SweatPack Forbes 30 Under 30, about how to empower more diverse founders.
But before we bring on our guests, we want to introduce you to the two fictional characters, Lenny and Delta, who were inspired by powerhouse women like these two guests. So please enjoy our trailer for Beta the series, and we will be right back.
Oh my God, I hate my job. Just tell them that.
You got me fired.
You got me fired. You got me fired.
Are you kidding me? That's me, Lenny. This is Delta. She was my boss.
Exhale.
You're good. You're good.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I think you should be an entrepreneur.
Nini, do you know what that word means?
I know this is something you've always wanted. Now's the time. And the tech industry is all the rage right now. 80% of businesses
Fail within the first 18 months.
This is gonna be so exciting.
You are brilliant.
I am?
Yes.
What did I say?
I don't want you getting involved in my personal life. You know nothing about me.
I'm your friend.
We are not friends.
A flower never competes with a flower beside it. It just blooms.
What about goggles that recognize images?
Like Google goggles?
Exactly. Oh, I see why that's a problem.
I never realized that we were so much on the same page.
We're totally in the same book.
So we're going worldwide, baby.
Delta, I was going to show you that we could...
Hey! Hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hi, what's up?
Thank you for joining us. We're so excited that you're both here today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
I'm
having
so
us.
excited. That trailer just hyped me up all over again.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and sorry, Shila, go ahead.
No, I was saying I could definitely see myself in those early chaotic days for me.
Right.
Very, very
We're going to go ahead and get started by introducing everyone to you. So our first guest today is Shila Nieves Burney. And Shila, I actually found when I was putting together a podcast on thriving humanity leaders, and I was looking for people to feature. And I found her profile and was so floored by your story, which I'm sure we're going to discuss today, and what events brought you to the sort of work that you do. So, yes, absolutely. Quick introduction. Shila has spent 20 plus years of her professional career working closely with leading organizations and exceptional talents to create solutions that address disparities through investment in human capital. The superpower is connecting. After spending a year sourcing investors for a startup that culminated in a $5 million seed seed, mentoring and advising many founders of color, Shila found firsthand the challenges that diverse entrepreneurs face getting access to capital and the resources that they need to grow and scale their companies. So Shila founded the Zane Venture Fund, a seed fund that would invest in underrepresented founders with the goal of closing the funding gap and generating high returns for investors. And Zane Access, which is so amazing, which provides early stage companies led by diverse teams access to cross-functional experts, resources, and best practices in order to accelerate growth. Thank you, Shila, for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you ladies. Look forward to the conversation.
Great.
Which leads us to our second guest, when we'd love to welcome Umama Kimbria. Umama is the savvy startup and co-founder and CEO behind SweatPack, the personal fitness brand, smallandstrong.fit. As an honored Forbes 30 under 30 leader, she's made an impact in fitness, technology, and community building, her largest passion in life. A highly sought after social media and community influencer in her own right, Umama knows exactly what it takes to build brand loyalty, traction, and impact. Her client list, which is very impressive, includes Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Bumble, and many others who trust her for her vast knowledge across the industry. Mama, I have to say that I went down a rabbit hole on your smallandstrong.fit Instagram page over the past couple of days, and I've been re-energized to get back in it and look up the Chicago chapter as soon as I can. And I'm really excited. Your passion is contagious and obvious. So we're really excited to have you as well.
Thank you so much, ladies. And I'm so excited to be here and share the vision with you guys through this platform.
Great. Well, before we jump into questions today, we wanted to open up the space to speak to current events. If either of you, Shila, if you'd like to start, are there any words that you'd like to say? Get out.
So I just wanted to share from my perspective, because we've been doing diversity work for almost 2 years now, that what I see in this moment outside of reconciliation is definitely an opportunity for us. And so we have had lots of conversations with folks, both allies and those who are wanting to become allies and learning how to be an ally. So I think this moment, while we still have some conversations that need to be had, that's what we've done I've done as an individual and as a company. We've just saw this as an opportunity to get our work out there even more. So looking forward for folks to join us on this journey. It's a great time to focus on our thesis, which is around diverse entrepreneurs. And so I think that's really important to convey to your audience right now. Let's look for opportunities right now that we could leverage sort of to make our communities better.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I just have to say, it's women like Shila that have obviously inspired my journey, and I've always been a diverse leader and founder that has built that into our company DNA, where diversity inclusion is not just about how many different skin colors there are. It's just about making people feel like they could be themselves. And we are continuing to amplify that voice for people through our platform, and making sure we're making executive level decisions to offer opportunities to everyone.
Amazing.
Absolutely. I think that was well put across the board. Well, if you ladies are ready, should we jump into some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, Beta, thank you both so much for watching the trailer and being involved in the series and your support. So, Delta or Leanie, what character do you think you most relate to, if at all, and why? And Shila, we'll kick off with you.
So for me, I relate to both of those women, right? So I am naturally a creative. And so most people would think I'm a little naive or too opportunistic, not too opportunistic, too optimistic about things. And so I can relate to that. And then I can also relate to being an alpha female, right? I'm you know, sometimes I think I'm aggressive, but people are like, no, you're assertive, and that's a good thing. And so I lean into that assertiveness. So I can relate to both women. I embody some of the things that they both have. And so I don't think it's an either or. I think we all have a little bit of something of that in us, you know. And so that's how I felt. I can relate to both women, especially, you know, looking at my total career. I spent it doing sort of pink work, right? Soft work, whatever they're calling that work now. And now I'm in a very masculine sort of industry. So, and I'm able to dive right in and have conversations with the big boys, you know, with no problem. So it works well for me being an alpha, and it works well for me being sort of a creative and, you know, thinking way outside the box. So yeah, I can relate to both of them.
Great.
Umama?
Yeah, I'm so glad the show highlights both those personalities, because I think most women, female founders, fall into a mix of the two. So I'm definitely the alpha type from Delta, but then that cultural background from Leanie definitely has a lot to do with how vulnerability and empathy is a big part of my leadership. And so I think really the combination of the two is what allows us to be able to thrive the most. So I think showcasing both is really important.
I love it. It's so exciting to see how women, we can connect so well from experiences like that.
For sure, sure. Yeah.
And as we continue with, you know, as stories, we see how much stories impact us, you know, growing up, and how they can represent different parts of ourselves. So we'd be curious to know what stories impacted you growing up in entertainment and media, and what did they tell you about what women could or couldn't do, and leadership styles. Shila?
Yeah.
We can switch. Let's go. We'll go the other way. Umama, you want to start first?
Yeah. So I think one particular one, I've always been a big fan of Taylor Swift. So obviously she's in entertainment and music, having her career documented ever since she was 13. And so being able to see the evolution of her career and how media plays a big role in that. I recognize, you know, you have to stand your ground. You have to know that when you are following your passion, you're allowed to evolve. I mean, it's like taking on any big music career like Madonna, right? But being able to accept who you are, and then being able to lead in that vision and follow that passion. I think Taylor Swift's stories of resilience, and now she's more of a political leader that sees her voice. That story has definitely impacted me, and watching a leader like that being able to transform, but also taking on different industries, right? I think a lot of us tend to feel like we can only go down one path. And so I've recognized by following her journey and people like her is that we can evolve, we can pursue all of our passions, but we have to be willing to get uncomfortable. We have to be willing to take on the judgment of people that know us for our past and be able to go forth in it completely. So something like Taylor Swift, definitely a lot of impact there.
Yeah, great.
And I love her music too, so that works.
So that helps. Yeah. And Shila, for you?
So for me, in terms of growing up, I always love stories like historic, like anything around history, right? Telling me somebody's biography and how they sort of overcame something. Because I think for us, sometimes we just see the end result. We don't see the actual struggle that folks go through. And so in terms of media and entertainment, that person was Oprah for me, right? So she came from a horrific background and experienced so many things, including when she felt really qualified for a position. She wasn't given that role, but she persevered anyway and created this huge brand now over, several $1 billion. But her story itself is so interesting, how she was able to sort of, just push forward in spite of all the folks, and then including buying her the rights to her show, right? That was revolutionary for a woman, especially a Black woman. It had never been done before. So I like to, those kind of folks, you know, for me, I like looking at those people because of course, I'm in an industry I never anticipated being in. But, you know, I'm here to persevere past all the sort of, you know, everyone who tells me that it can't be done. You know, there's always going to be a first. And so if it has to be me in this, you know, I'll do that. But so those are the kind of folks that I really, really admire for their perseverance.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting that both of you just mentioned stories about women, which both of those women I've connected with and followed since I was young and have also inspired me as well, which leads to the bigger point, which is that we learn and we grow from the stories that we have access to, and the women that are in these leadership roles have inspired us. But there aren't as many women in those roles as there are men. So I guess, why do you think that is, and what do you think we can do to move towards steps of helping to bridge that gap?
You know, I'm just going to be just frank. It comes down to biases that folks, you know, mostly, you know, male-led organizations, you know, they assume that women can't handle certain roles. And so we're regulated to being, you know, in sort of the, you know, just to be frank, like say diversity, right? We're relegated to roles like that. Those are not really decision-making roles. You don't get to sit at the table with the CEO and the CEO.
Oh no. Well, I can kind of jump in here, but
Okay.
yeah, just along the lines of what Shila was saying, just, you know, the industry has paved the way where you can only fit into roles that have always been designated as your gender role, your gender type. And so being able to create a new narrative is, for an advertiser's perspective, is that going to pay? Is that going to bring in advertisers? Am I going to get viewers? So it's a whole new narrative that you have to be willing to go all in. But I think it's really these new companies that are willing to take that risk that are seeing the big rewards from it. And so I mean, a lot of the TV shows that I watched growing up were male dominated. And so I recognize if I wanted to be a leader, I had to take on that alpha male mentality. But I knew, okay, I'm not white, but I can hang around these people and try to adapt to their cultures. But the older I got, the more I realized, no, let me tune into my personality, my culture, my heritage, and let that speak more. And then, you know, now because I'm seeing so much more representation, I feel more confident moving forward to it. But from a marketing and advertising standpoint, they didn't know if the risk was worth it or not.
Definitely. We have to see media taking those risks. And I love how you point out, too, the need for how you feel more empowered when you start to see more representation. It frees you and opens your mind that there is a direct correlation. You can fight through, but you still have something stuck in your head, right? That's like, I have to act a certain way in order to get to that position, until you start to see more stories and more people stepping into their originality and more female leaders leading in different ways and giving other examples that then empower you to be able to take on new ways of doing things. It's a really great point.
Just to add on to that, I think like places like Disney are doing better by creating that storyline from a younger age. Like if I saw Moana when I was younger, I would have had a headstrong, like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, like be a challenge taker like her. So I think we are making moves, but we have to stay consistent in that messaging for it to be known as the new narrative.
Definitely. Great. Shila, did you want to finish on, we kind of lost you right in the middle there, but if you want to.
I think the last point that I wanted to make is that data has shown that women have been able to do more with less, right? And that sort of follows them into the workplace as well. So I think, you know, if the biases weren't there, there would have been a lot of more women, I believe, in leadership roles. But I just think it's that sort of biases between, you know, some of the corporate leaders are not inviting women in at the decision table. You know, you give them a sort of a role that's outside, and it's, you know, there's a chief in front of it. But if they have no decision-making power, then, you know, it's just a sort of glorified role, right? So I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's what's missing. It's just giving us these opportunities the same as men. Men mess up and they still get another opportunity, right?
Over and over again.
Yeah, we're not afforded that opportunity, and that's not okay.
Very true. So this kind of leads into that a bit. What comes to mind? We've been playing around a lot. This is kind of a new concept, but it's mirrored in a bunch of dialogues right now. Alpha culture versus beta culture, right? And so we'll talk about beta culture a little bit more later, but what comes to mind for you and your experience with alpha culture? And what do you think works? What do you think does not work?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. For alpha culture, I've always thought of it as strong, overconfident, like sales mentality. It's I get what I want. Like I walk in as a powerhouse. And, you know, especially within the fitness industry, this alpha male mentality, even they try to train women to have it. And it's like, no, how do we empower the alpha woman mentality? And I'm just seeing now a big shift in how marketing messaging is appealing to that. With for women, the alpha marketing tactic is more like sex driven, or being the B word, right? Like it sometimes has a negative connotation when associated with a woman, but as a male, it's seen as a positive, enlightening, powerful term.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Shila?
So yeah, I would agree with all of that. For me, I see alpha culture as the same way, and I think I embody that. I worked for a lot of women who were very strong women, and me coming in very, sort of didn't expect this behavior. I sort of embraced it, and then took on some of those personalities that I saw in terms of being firm about what you want and asking for what you want, and not even, when people start to act like they can't do it, being, double downing on that. And so for me, I think women sometimes are intimidated by, other women are intimidated by some alpha women because of that confidence factor. And I'll give you an example today. I was on a call with a billionaire. I'm trying to get my fund funded. I can't walk around tiptoeing about what I want. I got to say succinctly what we're attempting to do and how can you help us, right? And so that's how I ended that conversation. And I think we got to open our mouths and ask for things. I'm always surprised. I mean, there are so many intelligent women who, have embraced this imposter syndrome. And I'm going, you have everything you need. Now you just need to step into that confidence. And so that's what I'm trying to, in my sort of advising and mentoring young women, is to walk in those shoes. Don't feel empowered because you've done the work. Now you need to just walk into that confidence. And there are some men intimidated by it, but so what? Keep moving forward in your own, unique sort of way. So yeah, I embrace some of it. Some of it, I'm never going to be overly aggressive. I'm definitely going to be assertive. I'm definitely going to ask for what I want. And I think that sometimes it tends to turn off both men and women, depending on where they are, and how they view women.
I find it's a hard line to walk because as women, we have such an ability to have such a beautiful vulnerability, which gives us empathy for the teams that we work with.
Right.
But then giving that empathy and trying to be an empathetic leader who's vulnerable and compassionate, and also this alpha female leader, sometimes it's a hard balance. And as Umama and Shila, you both said, sometimes we're judged on it or called the B word, or, whoa, she's intimidating. I don't want to be near her, work under her. So it's an interesting journey to watch.
Right. And we should all lead with empathy, right? Just because I consider myself to be an alpha male doesn't excuse my, I shouldn't walk around like I don't care about folks' feelings. Yeah. No, I lead with empathy. I'm a very empathetic person. So there's no way I'm going to ask you to do something I wouldn't do, that sort of thing. I understand, we have a woman who's working on our programs now and she's working really hard. And so I said to her, what can I take off your plate? Because I want her to be successful in this program implementation. That's how you lead with empathy, right? I'm thinking about the load she's carrying and I'm willing to carry some of it for her. It's that sort of stuff, and still maintain my sort of alpha female. Let me go out here and get whatever we need to get done for our work. So you can definitely carry both. It's not an either or.
So kind of pinging from that, do you both find that it's harder or easier to work with women? And if, based on your answer, why do you think that is?
So for me, when the woman has been a leader, I have had no issues, right? In terms of, sort of being, I don't want to call it an underling, but someone that I reported to was an executive woman. So I had no issues with that because I felt like I was going to learn something. But sometimes I find because of, I can be sort of direct. There's no emotion behind it. I'm just getting it out. I think sometimes that could be off-putting to some women to work for me. Right. And so, again, I have to, sort of make sure I lead with empathy. I can't say things like I would say sometimes so demanding. I have to understand how that person sort of works. Right. Every individual is different. Some people like direct. Some people want you to bring it with all the exclamation points and make it nice and pretty, that sort of stuff. It's just about knowing the people who work under you and sort of, shifting based on their personality. And I don't expect everybody to be like me. People are going to be different, but it's just, I can work with anyone. I don't have a problem with it, but I think sometimes women have problems working with other women, especially women that are considered very strong and confident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to kind of transition to that, I've definitely had to learn how to work with women. My experience with it, I'm a very kind, empathetic, I used to be a pushover. So I think that's where it kind of started. So I've always taken on that kind of beta role. I was always like vice president to someone that I felt like had to be mean, had to be more authoritative to be able to be in a leadership position. But I was always someone that had very strong skills and assets and accomplishments. So sometimes those type of accomplishments felt like something that was intimidating to female leaders I had above me. So I felt like I had to always hide my accomplishments or abilities to be able to kind of cater to that mentality. But then I started to really reassess who I was surrounding myself with. And I recognized when women are passionate, they know themselves, they're comfortable in themselves, they're vulnerable, they're willing to learn and grow. Those are the type of women I succeed with. They're partners. We can talk about our failures, not feel like we have to compete against each other. Those are the type of women I succeed with. Those are the type of women I've brought onto my team and continue to attract into my community as well.
I love that. I mean, I think it's such an important transition. I remember in my 20s going through that transition from high school, college, feeling competitive with women, feeling like there was only one place for the woman to succeed, and the girl leader, whether it was sports or academics. And then learning in my 20s, I was like girl crushing on everyone. I was like, I want to be like her, and I want to hang out with her, and I want her to be my best friend. So it's kind of a beautiful journey, and it's really empowering when you realize that you have the strengths of each other, and when we come together collectively to support and raise each other up.
Yes, for sure. And I wanted to say something about the partnership you were talking about, Umama, and that is the women that I've worked for, I was a partner with them. They considered me a partner. I'll just give you an example. An executive that I worked for, a large nonprofit. So she was a what is that? Epidemiologist by training, right? And so she puts me in meetings on a project that's dealing with epidemiology with our research team. I had no idea. I'm not an epidemiologist. I've not studied any of that stuff, but it stressed me so much to work on this project that I became a much better project manager. And so I think if we think of people on our team that we work with as partners, we can do so much more versus employee, employer, that sort of thing. This is a partnership because we all have a goal that we're trying to reach. And so I think that's also an effective way to work with women and, to consider them to be your partners in this work.
Absolutely. That's why I'm so grateful I have Carly on this project.
We do. It's interesting as both of you touch on that. And as Adrienne and I have learned much in the fictional story of these two women that learn how to partner, learn from each other, that both embody these extreme energies, right? One has that very alpha. And as we're saying, we all have both inside of us. But, how we've been taught as women, especially, there is an old story of competition that we're supposed to be pitted against each other. And this beautiful thing that starts to happen when women realize that they're empowered and they don't need to compete with each other, how we do lead very differently. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on some successes that you've had with women when you do when that, can take some time. Sometimes it takes a lot of trust building. But when you do kind of get that dynamic, how you think women as teams work, how would they lead and create differently?
Yeah, I can start. So I think what really made the difference for me was shifting towards that I got to take care of myself first before I can go and work with other people and understand what internal problems I had that was creating that competition type of mindset, right? It's the 7 habits of highly effective people. Number 1, be proactive. What can I take control of? So that meant investing into therapy. That meant investing time into the gym, making time for that morning routine so that I knew my concerns were taken care of. So anytime I did face a situation, I could start to reframe it. Number 2, I think when women start to recognize there's so much opportunity out there for us, and when we stop limiting our mindset to believing it's a infinite, finite opportunity out there, that's when we can actually collaborate together, because when we collaborate, that's when we're powerhouses and can't be stopped. And I've definitely learned through my experience in fitness, social media, through technology, that when I've come together with groups of women, we are not only excelling together, but we are going out and making community impact. Because the thing about female leaders and women leaders in general is we're not thinking about just ourselves. When we take care of ourselves, then we go out and take that energy and put it out into solving real world problems. And that's what differentiates us from our male counterparts.
Oh, the taking care of yourself and all.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hopefully for all human beings, right? I think that's so important, but it is
definitely for us.
Yeah.
Because we pour so much of ourselves innately into other people. So 10 minutes morning routine, like that is what I preach through my personal platform for sure.
Amazing. Shila, anything to add?
No, I was just going to say it just goes back to leading with empathy again. I mean, it's just really caring about the folks who are around you, working with you on a particular whatever project. Just leading with empathy. I think that's the most important thing. Again, we're some of the most creative people, women. I just think about my mom, who was able to do so much with so little. And I really admire everything that she did for our family. And so I think, I have taken that with me. And to your point, I do way more than I should be doing for others and not for myself. And so I'm learning how to do that better, right? COVID-19 is giving me sort of the power of naps. And I'm always a napper, and I take advantage of it. And so that's how I see me taking care of myself, and so that I can be able to take care of others, That's all I wanted to add. I think that's
I'm a strong advocate for the nap.
Me too. 20 minutes. It's almost that time.
A good 20-minute nap can change the day.
Exactly.
Well, we don't want to leave the men out of this story either, because it's important. Their role in empowering us is important. So I guess I would put it to both of you. How do you feel that men have empowered you along your journey, or what are your thoughts on what their role is in doing that?
Sure. So I can just take you to this moment right now, right? There are 2 men that work with me just about every day. And this is on my fund. You'll never see them. You won't hear from them, but they are working with me side by side and have been with me since the fund since I started the fund, and has been with me on the evolution of it. I feel like men should just be better allies, we got enough mentors, in my opinion, but how about we get some sponsors? How about we get some folks talking about us in rooms that we're not even in, so folks can get to know us in that way, versus you mentor me and never introduce you to your network, right? And so I think just being better allies and being sponsors, we've got enough mentors, but we need some folks talking about us and bringing us into rooms and tables that we're not, we're not at as often as men are.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. All my greatest mentors have been men, white men to be specific, that have given me the opportunity, the platform to take their resources, their connection, and actually be able to build myself, my business. And so, I see men as allies, but it once again goes back to how are we taking control of putting ourselves in the environment where they are? And that also takes confidence in ourselves. Because think about the type of men that men want to be around. They want to be around smart, successful, confident people. So when we embody that, they feel that energy. And of course, real men won't see that as a threat. They'll see it as an opportunity. Whoa, this girl's got something good. I'm going to get her in front of everybody. And I can definitely say some of my biggest advocates that have put me in front of where I am right now are all strong men.
Well, and Carly and I often talk about how it's bringing the unconscious to a more conscious state. So the awareness, Shila, to your point of, yes, you're supporting me, you're telling me you believe in me. Now, what's the actionable steps from that that we can take to help move me along? If I'm equally as good,
right,
let's go together.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's really, really important. And I'll just add some context to what I just said. Those two men are two white men as well, right? And because of my confidence in this work and wanting to do it and seeing it through, they've stood by my side, making sure we just get better and better till we get to the point that we're doing, and that's, finalizing our raise. So yeah. I agree with Umama in terms of taking advantage of those opportunities and leveraging them as much as you can. Because if someone offers you something, you don't do anything with it. It's not on them.
right.
At that point, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It is nice, though, as you're saying, the invite, because it can be so, embodying that kind of alpha where you're going to ask for the opportunity. And we do have that, but sometimes it's also like, invite. It's hard we can take down doors, and God knows most of us have, but sometimes, just like it's one of your buddies, it's like, just make the invitation, bring more, be more aware, and invite more women to the table to have
Right.
a voice.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I think should we do the beta? I feel like we kind of talked about beta culture, but should we take a look at it a little bit more, or leave it to everybody here?
I feel like we've covered it. I think we've got a little bit of time for questions if we want to bring any of those in from our audience.
Wait, but actually, before we do that, can we because we didn't get stories, and I feel we kind of need. This was us for the questions, but we would love to hear from both of you just a little story of your background and what brought you to your mission work, so to speak, and what you're doing right now.
So for me, of course, it was the offer or the opportunity to help source investors for a startup that was based in Africa. My career path does not lead me to venture at all, but everything that I've learned along the way has sort of helped me in venture. And so, of course, I'm raising a fund right now focused on diverse founders and entrepreneurs, because as I was sourcing investors for this startup, I'm looking at the data and just seeing these horrific numbers in terms of, how diverse entrepreneurs are funded, right? And I'm a problem solver, so I thought I can solve this. Let me start my own fund. And of course, you've seen just in the past, 6 months, a lot of funds have started up to solve for this. I'm going to talk about our work, but I think what makes us different is that we got involved in the founder community first. We built relationships and community around them, so that when we're ready to deploy capital, we have founders already in our community that we can sort of tap into and deploy capital with. So that's what's important to me right now, is ensuring the founders in our care receive everything they need to be able to scale and grow their companies.
Wonderful.
All right, guys. Well, I think a lot of this has to start with my name, Umama. The root of the word Uma actually means community, motherly and kind-hearted. And so it's always been a part of this purpose I've learned, that my passion is for connecting people, and specifically through fitness. So I found the magic at the intersection of fitness, community building, and technology. Because I learned that when you get fitness in your life, you transform your body, you transform your mindset. And that power together goes and transforms the community. But technology only speeds up that process and being able to connect people. So I was recognized as Forbes 30 Under 30 and Fitness Influencer of the Year, as I worked at over 400 gyms, connected with over 100,000 people on social media. And I learned the main problem was people had all these gym memberships, but people weren't using them. And then I recognized, okay, on the business side, gyms want consistent memberships more than ever right now. So that's why I developed SweatPack. SweatPack is an app that connects people to group workouts and sports leagues. So it's a two-sided marketplace that allows gyms to list their open slots and be able to get consistent members. And on the membership side, allows people to actually be active, stay accountable, and even in this virtual world, be able to still meet people. And so we are fighting this cause to be able to help people be active and stay accountable.
Incredible.
Oh, you both are so amazing. And Umama meaning community. And
Is that amazing?
What?
I Googled that maybe like 5 months ago, and I was like, oh my God, wait, what?
How do you know? Okay. Love it. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing. And now, yes, Adri, should we maybe?
Yeah, we've got a couple questions here. So Umama.
Yeah.
How was the response when you decided to show up and represent yourself in your industry?
Yeah, so I'm in two industries. I've got fitness and I've got tech, which are two very male-dominated industries. So I went in with the mentality of I need to hang out with the people who are where I want to be. So that meant I had a lot of male role models, a lot of male mentors, and I used them as an opportunity. Hey, let me help you build up your brand, build up your business, and show you the power of my work. Because I knew to be able to gain trust in the industry, I had to show that I had something special to value. So I always lead with value with anything that I pursue. And then second, I always build community because I believed with that trust, with value, and building an authentic community and being vulnerable, number three, that I could gain anyone's trust. And I take that same formula into any new pursuit of mine.
I love it.
Yes.
Shila, how has the response from alpha men been when you set a firm boundary when asking for funding? Do you find that those investors respect you more? Do they feel more confident in your fund?
So from my conversations, I think me being at the head has not bothered anyone. And most of my conversations, no, all of my conversations, now that I think about it, have been with the potential LPs have been men. Predominantly white men. I don't feel inferior talking to them. They have asked me questions just like I was a male a male VC, and and I've responded in kind. So no, I've not seen that. And to Umama's point about being in rooms earlier. So last year I traveled the country with this fund. There was a lot of times I was the only woman in the room. There was a lot of times I was only the Black woman in the room. And they're talking about $200 billion fund. So you would think, why would somebody who's raising such a small fund be in this room? I want to know the entire availability of capital. So I am in rooms that typically folks like me would never even be invited to. So.
Oh, no.
No.
Well, she's a badass. She is actually everywhere.
I know. I was like, that is amazing.
Like, she all over Atlanta. I mean, I've seen her in so many Zoom chats. Like, Shila makes an effort to make sure everyone feels heard. And she is going out there. When she speaks about community, she means it. Not only on the VC side, but also on the founder side. And that's really what it takes to be able to make your landmark in an industry. But also with Shila's fund, she's a powerhouse. People believe in her vision and know she's well connected. And that's why I believe a lot of people trust her. And she has so much of my respect.
Yeah. Mine too.
Incredible. Mine too.
I know. Both of you. Do we have any more questions before? Okay, great. We have, how do you carry personal confidence into rooms when you are a minority, whether as a woman or as a person of color?
Yeah, I think this starts with ourselves, right? And how we view ourselves. I talk a lot about the personal work we need to do, whether it's through therapy, mindset work, through fitness. It's understanding our value isn't determined by what we look like. Yes, it is a valuable part of who we are, but I'm going to lead with value, which is, hey, I'm going to get to know you. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to make sure you know where I come from and what I'm about. But as far as carrying a personal confidence, it's knowing your worth, right? When we don't have to oversell ourselves, we don't feel like we have to use our culture as a barrier. Getting out of that mindset, number one, is what will always be that personal confidence carry on.
Awesome.
Shila, Umama was just giving you a massive compliment at what a powerhouse woman you are and how much she respects you and who you are when you go into a room is why people listen to you. And so it was really, to touch back on your last response, it was really inspiring to hear that those are the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, and they could have swayed me another way, right? I don't see anyone that looks like me, or they're had a moment where I was waiting to speak to a speaker, and these guys just stepped right in front of me, and I just reached my hand out and said, "I'm next," right? I shook his hand and moved on. And so the guy, he came back. They sort of swarmed me. So one of them came back and profusely apologized. Now I could have been like, "You did this," and I was like, "Fine." I accepted it. He gave me a card, and we had a conversation later. So it's just about, for me, I am so determined to raise my fund. Now I'm not going to be put upon by anybody. I don't want to get confused, but I feel real confident being in that space, and I'm going to own every bit of it while I'm in there. So that's how I sort of, that's how I handle these sort of situations. I'm not afraid. I've not ever been afraid of anything. And so I'm just, just as sort of doubled down on this as I was in anything else in my career.
Yeah.
Well, it's like both of you are saying confidence, conviction, and just owning authenticity of who you are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I hear very, very strong missions. There's something to be said for both of you when you know what value you as a person, but also what value you have to offer to society and what changes you can make. That if you lead with that, it's like fear. You don't got time for fear.
Nobody got time for fear.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's amazing. We're going to go ahead. Before we close out, would either of you like to make an ask or have some words, a plug, something that you want to say before we say our goodbyes?
Yeah, my ask is, guys, be kind. Get to know people and have conversations. It is a beautiful world. We have social media. We can text people. We can call people. Do one of those every day and show that kindness. And that kindness also comes up for ourselves and how we talk to ourselves. I think if we do that work, everything else will play out. Our values will play out. Our businesses will play out, and we will succeed. But we have to learn how to communicate and be kind to one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, so for me, community is very important. And so that's interesting that Umama's name means community, or Umama means community. So because that's the same thing for me, I consider myself to be a connector, and I'm about building community. So I would just say to folks, be kind to one another. We're all sort of struggling right now. Someone wants to talk to you about the current events and want to learn more how they can be sort of an ally to our community or any community. Let's just find some time to talk. We're all human. All of us are feeling this in different ways, but I think we will get past this, and we will be better because of it. And so I just say to people, talk to someone you don't know. I'd love engaging with people who have a different background than mine, and then always learning something. And so I think, let's just give each other some empathy right now, or some grace is what we've been saying.
Yeah.
Each other some grace right now, and understand that, we're going to be better because of a lot of things going on, and give yourself some grace, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic still, and so we need to really give ourselves some grace about everything that's happening right now.
Sometimes it really is the smallest gesture that can change your perspective and change your outlook.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the heart, I just have to say, both of you are just such phenomenal leaders. So grateful for the world that we get to have both of you in it, with voices that are hopefully getting louder and louder and louder. Thank you for being here today.
No, thank you so much, Carly. I appreciate you pursuing me for a time when I was lost for a minute. I was just so busy. So I really appreciate that we got to this point. It was really good to speak to your audience.
Yeah, guys, I'm so grateful. I can tell you guys, I've watched Silicon Valley 2 times because I just needed a TV show that got my life. And now that there's one with women, I'm like, oh my God, yes. And think about it. I know this is going to make so much more impact on all the women that I hear want to do this. That representation is so important. We can do it on an individual level through vlogs, but really being able to take your mission and be able to amplify that, I will be 100% behind that message.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough, both of you, for your support. It really means the world to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch very soon too for some, I'm sure we'll have some follow-up things. That'll be fun.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Wait a second. Where are we? Gotta get my place back. Thank you to everyone for being here for our very first episode. I hope you enjoyed yourself. My name is Carly Marcel. I'm an artist, speaker, producer, and the founder of the Machu Teen Network, a new experience network that's about empowering change agents to lead in disruption and serve a thriving humanity.
And I am Adriana Leonard. I'm an actor and producer and founder of Peanut Productions. You can find out all the things about me at www.adrianaleonard.com. This is Beta in Real Talks, which is part of our bigger Beta in campaign, which you can follow at betatheseries.com. Keep up with us so we can tell you all the exciting things that are yet to come.
Yes, and we will see you next week. We have our next episode at 3:00, and that will be a panel of awesome women in tech leaders on career paths and planning different options in the technology field. This episode was made possible by the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. Oh, wait, we're live again.
We're just doing our quick thanks to our sponsors. This episode was made possible by the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship and 2112 Incubator, Project 44, Peanut Productions, and the Machu Teen Network. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.